Have you ever thought about that?
No.
Well, there's so many Kenyans who always have that conversation, on socials, political society. We'll be giving you those tips. Silas Akiru, an advocate of the High Court, will be joining us around 8 a.m. Before that, the State of the Nation. Today,
Una watu wengi Fanya Mambo will be in studio, MP Lote will be in studio, Arnold Maliba and Mr. Buluma, they'll all be in studio for that conversation. And do stand by for that, and a lot more coming later on, including highlights from the president's trip to the US. Yesterday was a big day for the president. He actually finally landed in Washington, D.C. and was welcomed by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, to the White House. He had a series of meetings. He had also met congressional leaders at Capitol Hill in Washington. Plus, he made a visit to the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior at the Arlington Cemetery. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And we'll be telling you more about that later. So yes, this is a panel for the State of the Nation today. Do stand by for that conversation. But first, let's take a quick look at the headlines. A black market to thrive as Ruto tax plan suffers blow. Now, this is just part of the warning that experts are saying. If you go on with the taxation measures you've actually come up with, something else will be there. Yes. And of course, a picture there of the president being welcomed by the U.S. First Lady, Jill Biden, after he landed at the St. Andrews Airport in Washington, D.C.
On to the Daily Nation. Omtata moves to block finance bill, and they're asking, is he jumping the gun? That among the Daily Nation has fixed quite a number of stories, and you'll realize Deputy President's name and photo is, his name really. I don't know if Standard has mentioned.
No. The Standard today has steered clear of what Gachagua is up to. But he's still on the front page of the Daily Nation. Yesterday and today. Okay.
So that's the Daily Nation, they're mentioning him and having his photo, and quite a number of stories. We'll be getting to that. Onto the People Business Daily.
France topples China on loans as Ruto looks west. Yes, I know, you're looking west or east. France, Germany now biggest sources of new loans. Ruto visits US 4 times, France thrice, Germany twice.
And it reminds me of the conversation you're having with Professor Moshere Munen as well as Barack Muluka yesterday on how him looking west, but then they're still going to be discussing the east.
Oh yes. Gachagua alilia Uhuru, habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Did you ever think we'd come to this? I think this is my best headline today. Baada ya kubanwa na viongozi chibukizi eneo la Mlima Kenya, naibu wa rais amsaka hasimu wake rais mstaafu. Na ile sura ameweka hapo yo rais mstaafu. He's not a happy guy.
Oh yes. Shanga wataka nini wewe?
Unataka nini sasa?
People Daily, the reasons behind Ruto Gachagua war, they're having the deputy president's name, and you're saying this isn't one of those highlights that even the main man there doesn't want to see if you're abroad.
Yeah. This is not the kind of headline you want to see. But yes, this is what people are talking about this entire week.
And it is the same how Mount Kenya political wave will hit Ruto and Raila. There's a collage of photos there. The president as well as the first lady and the floaters and the deputy president as well. Also, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, all meeting some heads of state and some delegates.
All right. That's as far as the local dailies are concerned. Let's cross the border into Uganda. Makerere lecturers VC fight over Among exams. And we said when you're reading a Ugandan paper, you need to be very careful about this word here.
It is a speaker.
Among. It's someone's name. Among, the Speaker of the National Parliament of Uganda. So matters education there, but this is about academic freedom and academic certificates. Makerere lecturers and the Vice Chancellor fight over Among exam. That's a Daily Monitor in Kampala. And then another highlight on the front page of the Daily Monitor, Bobi Wine tear gassed out of Kamuli. And you have a photo there of this politician on top of a vehicle and mobbed by some of his supporters there. That's the Daily Monitor in Uganda. Still in Uganda. On to the New Vision. Matters education making big news. Private school teachers get 20 billion Ugandan shillings. So, and it's always a nice feeling when you read how education is being treated in Uganda. And it's always positive, something positive about what is coming in for teachers. When you come back to teachers in Kenya.
Both private and as well as public.
Yes. In Kenya, it's always they're striking and we don't have money for you people.
So here at a JSS strike, it has been sort of
no one is talking about it. Gachagua is the main headline.
Into Tanzania, the Citizen, pending issues as Samia's SGR deadline approaches. It was supposed to start and kick off on the 1st of July. Remember those whole videos of some trains coming into Tanzania? They were very happy about it. So the deadline is 1st July. Sort of a month and some weeks, but they have some pending issues that they really want to...
So they bought the trains before they were ready?
Well, at least them, I mean, they're really pushing for it. It's just a few of the issues: announcement of fares, conclusion of procurement of electric multiple units, as well as the project handover.
Okay, it will make quite some good transport network in East Africa once the Kenya-Uganda SGR is complete, and then you probably go around. Yeah. And on the Mwananchi, serikali yaingia kupoza makali. Wanazungumzia kupanga gharama za usafirishaji mizigo. Matters transportation, very key in Tanzania. It is a very vast country with very poor transport infrastructure. But at least they're doing, you can see that's where...
Samia is really pushing.
That's where all the focus is. Every day on the dailies, matters transport, usafirishaji.
Either in the blue economy as well as even the roads. Yes. It's just an amazing one.
Very progressive. And that's the front page of the Mwananchi in Tanzania.
Let's take a look at now, well, I can start with the weather and see how things are looking like. So in Mombasa, interestingly, the weather is 24 degrees Celsius. That's quite high.
6 a.m.
At 6 a.m. Though it is going to be drizzling for today. Precipitation is 80%. This means chances of it raining if you're in Mombasa and its environs. Chances of it raining
90% at 7 a.m.
Yes.
So I think it's already raining in Mombasa.
Despite even the high temperatures they're having.
And I think that's one of the most uncomfortable weather patterns I've actually experienced in Mombasa, when it's hot and humid and then it's raining, and that's not the kind of feeling you want when you're going to Mombasa. Yeah.
Well, then that's just how things are looking like. Some black clouds all the way, but then it might probably be easing into the day. So the entire day for today, it has come early, but at around midday, 100%. This means that, let me just zoom in that for you so that you can see. So here it is, 100%. Chances of it actually raining for today in Mombasa is quite high. But then, now getting into the central region in Nyeri, some parts of Nyeri as well, Nyeri and its environs, Hapo, precipitation 10%, chances of it really raining is very, very low, getting into midday. But then after that, some average rainfall.
Light showers.
Yes, some light showers as high as 60%, Hapo. Probability of it raining again, ile 50-50 pia. That's in Nyeri. In Nakuru, 16 degrees Celsius is at now. They say it feels like 15 degrees Celsius. Though leo pia kutakuwa ni kama
thunderstorms.
Yes. 60% precipitation.
I know my mom is watching. She's in Nakuru. Hapa kuna mvua, mom. Leo kuna mvua inakuja.
That is in Nakuru. Finally, Nairobi and its metropolitan region, 17 degrees Celsius as of 6 a.m. Precipitation 5%. Let's see how that is going to be. But then, that's as of now. So enjoy the sunny intervals that you're going to be seeing until midday. But then after that, chances of it raining again, some light showers after midday are probably quite high. They say 50%. As after 1 p.m. Getting into the evening. So anza kutafuta umbrella, or if you're leaving, just have that umbrella in your bag just in case. That's how the weather is looking like, Fred.
All right, a quick look at the transportation network, and in Nairobi, the roads look clear so far. I was hoping to try and see if we could get to Nakuru, because there was trouble in Nakuru just the other day, and it's not really cooperating with me. So probably we'll abandon that for now. Yes, Nakuru is here.
Yes, yeah.
And most people heading towards most people heading towards Western Kenya experienced quite some issues in Nakuru getting into town and out, because that's the major route. If you're going to Western Kenya, you have to get into Nakuru, and there was a traffic snarl-up just as you get into town, and you can see it's still there. This is Nakuru, and so
yesterday it was quite red.
It was red. This whole area was red, and I think it's really improved immediately after State House Nakuru, and then you get into that deep where the railway bridge is, and Nakuru was quite problematic. Let's come back to Nairobi and take a look at the main roads in Nairobi. And yes, nothing much to report about. The main one being Thika Road all the way into town is green. Yes, a bit of red there once you get to Pangani, but that's to be expected. After that, everything else is good so far. And Mombasa Road also looking good into town, nothing much. Let's take a look at Wayaki Way, also good into town. And Ngong Road and Langata Road also looking good. Nothing much to report. Traffic is looking quite friendly this morning. Prestige Plaza around that area because of the lights, a bit of a slow traffic there. On Jogoo Road,
Jogoo Road imejaribu sana.
Nothing really out of the ordinary, yes. Just around the City Stadium roundabout, that's where you get some red. But everything else is good so far, yeah. And that's there's a Pangani area. That's the only section you can say is a bit slow this morning. But I guess it's smooth sailing today in Nairobi as far as traffic is concerned.
Because it's a Friday Junior?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Watu wana make sure wameanza Friday vizuri. As of 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Before we get into the newspapers, let's tell you what happened some time back in our Today in History. And we take you all the way back in 2014, where the International Criminal Court sentenced Congolese warlord Germain Katanga to 12 years in prison for a string of war crimes, including arming of an ethnic militia that carried out a 2003 village massacre that left 200 people dead. That's way back in 2014. As of today, 23rd of May. That's Today in History, and that cues us to magazetini sasa.
Right, a lot of focus on the president's state visit to the US now that he finally landed in Washington, D.C. and met his host, President Joe Biden. On the Standard, there's a photo of the president as he was welcomed at the Joint Base Andrews Airport in Washington, D.C. by the US First Lady Jill Biden. And they say, date with Biden finally here. But that's not even the main headline. They talk about matters taxation. And it's interesting that the Standard has taken us back to the discussion about the finance bill. And they say black market to thrive as Ruto tax plan suffers blow. Kenyans are bracing for tax increases as the William Ruto government seeks to bridge its budget deficit. However, experts warn the more levies government introduces, the more evaders will rise, denying KRA taxes, even as petitioners move to court seeking to block MPs from passing the finance bill. This story has been covered on pages 4 and 5 and probably just points to some of the challenges towards a new or proposed tax regimen by the president. More headlines, the bottom strip of the Standard today. In Matter Sports, Euro, Ronaldo proves why he is still the GOAT. Business, KCB defies forecast to post 16 billion shilling profit. In real estate, pull out affordable housing program spurs property market. Meanwhile, the government new plan to privatize more than 200 parastatals. This debate was very rife last year. And now they say that a policy by the National Treasury explains that the law will be amended to convert all commercial agencies into limited private companies so that they can compete with private businesses for opportunities in government and public sector. On the international scene, European trio give nod to a Palestinian state. And this is a very interesting story because a number of countries have said that if at all Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu steps onto these countries, he will be arrested in line with that ICC warrant of arrest that was issued against him. To the top strip of the Standard this morning, front page, hustler defenders have turned into Gachagwa's critics. So yes, Gachagua may not have his image on the front page of the Standard, but mention of his name is still there.
Yeah.
The story is on page 10. And I believe away from the president's visit to the US, this remains the biggest talking point back home. Matters education and flooding, thousands still out of school. At least 2,000 and more schools damaged by floods failed to reopen for second term on May 13th. And there's uncertainty as to when the learners will resume education, mostly in areas like Tana River and Homa Bay, as well as Kisumu. Onto the back page of the Standard, and they are taking a look at some of the possible managers to manage Chelsea. And I don't know why they're focusing on Chelsea, which was, don't even know what, but at least it's performed better than some other team from Manchester. They ask who could be next manager at Stamford Bridge, and they have so many people, including Vincent Kompany, the former defender of Manchester City. Jose Mourinho could make a return, Thomas Tuchel, and all these other people who could possibly replace Buona Pochettino at Chelsea. That's the Standard this morning.
Well, I'm probably waiting for a day that it's actually Man United who is replacing Ten Hag, but well, we'll wait to see. On to the Daily Nation. Omtata moves to block finance bill. That is the Busia Senator Okiya Omtata, and they're asking, is he jumping the gun? And Busia Senator Okiya Omtata wants the High Court to stop public participation on the proposed taxation measures because, while contrary to procedure, the National Assembly has prioritized the Finance Bill 2024 before considering and approving the Appropriations Act 2024. Story is on page 7, and this is probably going to be a whole repeat in history. He actually also went to court for the Finance Bill 2023, and at the end of the day, ikapitisho. So we wait to see how this is going to be. There are quite a number of stories fixed on the...
And I know on that story, I'm sure there's one man on X who's saying, give that man my malaria vaccine.
The clouds,
Gabriel.
Yes, the clouds will gather very soon. Yesterday, Daily Nation didn't make a mention on President William Ruto's visit to US, but today they do. Well, it's just a photo, but then they make mention of it. More details is on page 10, and they have the photo there of President William Ruto being a gentleman, you know, just holding the hand of First Lady Rachel Ruto as they were arriving at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, Washington, D.C. Yesterday for the third day in the U.S. And today actually is today is the main day visit. The main day
today
as well
is actually the last day.
The last day.
Yesterday was the main day.
Oh, okay.
That's when he went to the White House.
Oh, yes.
I think right now they've just gone to bed right now, or probably enjoying the state banquet at the White House.
Other stories on the right scroll. Matters probe. Court freezes 28 million cash shillings belonging to K&H boss, that is Evanson Kamuri, over allegations of abuse of office, unexplained wealth, conflict of interest, and irregular award of tenders to firms linked to him. Into matters weather, to die in coast as Cyclone Iali causes havoc, as it was really heading even into the shoreline of Mombasa. The story just below it, Matters budget. The National Assembly's NGCDF committee has protested against the proposal to withdraw the free school feeding program and cautioned the government against adopting the proposal, which will affect millions of learners who may go without meals from July. That is on the back page. I'll be taking a look at it in a few. On the bottom, special economic zones draw to life. Pages 27 all the way to 29. But very interesting stories at the top scroll. First off, Matters education. UON wrangles. Vice Chancellor Kiama sent on leave again. More is on page 2, and they say the the council has sent VC Stephen Kiama on leave yet again and directed Professor Ayub Njoroge to continue serving in acting capacity. But one of the biggest stories, one of the biggest conversations for today, why Gachagua is courting Uhuru. Pages 4 and 5. The Deputy President has once more reached out to retired President Uhuru Kenyatta in his efforts to unite Mount Kenya region and consolidate his support base amid sustained criticism from a section of local leaders. Well, the Deputy President is not really getting a rest. The entire last week being mentioned, as well as this week.
Okay. Let's take a break from
political matters
and take a look at business. And in business, on the Business Daily, the front page, they talk about France toppling China on loans as Ruto looks west. France, Germany, now biggest sources of new loans. Ruto visits US 4 times, France thrice, and Germany twice. And yes, now you'll see the vuta ni kuvute as the West and the East compete for Kenya's attention, which is a good thing if you can strike a good balance and probably get the best from both ends. The other big headline, KCB beats equity with 16 billion shillings first quarter net profits. Yes, when it comes to banks, KCB is doing better, way better. On the ticker, irrigation pending bills hit 18 billion shillings. Elsewhere, clinker imports drop 77% on new levy. Wow, interesting. And relief for investors as CDSC reactivates 1.2 million share accounts. Finally, airtime bank levies dethrone sin taxes as excess duty cash cow. That's the Business Daily today.
On to the next. Kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, Gachagua lilia Uhuru. Hiyo ni baadhi ya umeangazia kwa kina. Wasema naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua kwa mara nyingine tena amemuomba rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta kuungana naye katika juhudi za kuunganisha eneo la Mlima Kenya. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili. Wadokeza aidha kuwa baada ya kubanwa na viongozi chipukizi eneo la Mlima Kenya, naibu rais amsaka hasimu wake rais mstaafu. Pale chini vidokezo vingine vya maana sana kwako mtazamaji. Mtata elekea kotini tena, nasema apinga mswada wa fedha wa mwaka 2024 unaolenga kutoza Wakenya kodi zaidi. Mwingineko, viongozi mlimani wataka mfumo unaozingatia idadi ya watu kugawa pesa. Kwenye masuala ya kitaifa, mauaji ya halaiki yaja Sudan. Ni kulingana na United Nations, sema mashambulio yaliyochochewa kikabila yalenga jamii za Masalit na Fur. Turejee nchini Kenya, na pale juu mikosi iliyoandama manaibu wa rais tangu uhuru, kuanzia makamu wa kwanza rais Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, wote wamepitia dhiki kuu na masaibu ya kisiasa. Nadhani taarifa hiyo imeoana na taarifa kuu yao, kujaribu kulinganisha tangu kitambo historia ilivyokuwa na jinsi sasa inavyoendelea. Masuala ya michezo, chai ya mwisho ya Pochettino. Mkufunzi huyu asema kuondoka Chelsea ni jambo la kawaida tu. Na hiyo ni baadhi ya vidokezo kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo. Ngazia the next one into People Daily. A couple of highlights there. The reasons behind Ruto Gachagua war. And they say insiders reveal, that's the front page of People Daily. Insiders reveal that away from smiles for cameras while in public, the DP is fast turning into a deeply polarizing and condescending figure to his boss and Mount Kenya allies. Those are very strong words to use there. And that really reads something else there. But at the very top scroll of People Daily, other highlights that we haven't really touched on. First off, they say how farmers were duped to purchase soil conditioner. That is on page 6. I believe the Cabinet Secretary of Agriculture said that, even away from matters, even soil, the government doesn't have budget for the farmers who the crops were destroyed by the ravaging floods. That's just something else sad, but something interesting here. 10 things you might not know about your body. Something to read on to that. On the left, more pain for counties after money delay. And that story on Okiya Mtata in court to stop new taxes. That's the People Daily.
Finally on the Star,
yes.
How Mount Kenya political wave will hit Ruto and Raila. That's a big headline on the front page. They say the region's bigwigs say they will field their own presidential candidate in 2027. Will they? That's a big question. Story has been extensively covered on pages 4 and 5. Matter succession, a new Mount Kenya political grouping has moved to register the outfit. Away from politics, US signs 430 million shilling deal with Kenya's students' airlift program. And we have images there of President William Ruto as he was welcomed into Washington, D.C. after he landed at the Joint Base Andrews by the First Lady of the U.S., Jill Biden. Other photos of Kenya's, the president's entourage, including CS's meeting some of... Oh, this is a deputy president, what he's doing back home as the president is away, and also what Raila Odinga is up to. He met another ambassador at his residence. So yes, that's the front page of the Star. Let's take a look at the cartoons now. And the one on the Standard, page 16, is so confusing. Harry still confuses us, and I'm trying to actually make head or tail of this one. But he talks about Mount Kenya politics and someone who's surfing on an ocean, and he says, I love this, but I really can't tell who that is because it's in yellow.
Well, actually, on his trouser, they've written Ruto.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay,
so Ruto is surfing then. He says, hey, I love this. And I think, actually, so it's a closer look now on the next, because it's a collage of the...
So a close-up of what he's
a close-up of what he's using as his surfing, and what is helping him propel through the strong winds on the flaps there. One of them is disrespect snubs. The photo there, well, I think we'll have to understand Harry's caricatures.
His depiction of different people is different. At least on the one for the retired president is closer. You can tell who it is. They've written there, retirement parks.
No, actually, Harry has given us the privilege of actually just mentioning who it is, because the first one, wearing a yellow coat, is Riggy G. And he's actually questioning. On the other one, wearing a red shirt, is Uhuru. Saying retirement parks.
Well, Harry, we still have to take time before we understand these cartoons. Okay, fine. On the page 17 of the Daily Nation, matters BBI, and you can clearly see the caricature of two individuals here. One who's playing a guitar, reggae, and he has a Rastafari kofia there. You know who that is. And the BBI and the Deputy President reading that BBI back then when it was about reggae, and now this same individual appears to have fallen in love with the BBI, especially on this issue of 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. And the gentleman was playing the reggae, the Rastafarian, moved on and said, it's no longer my problem. It took him too long to actually get into the program. Those are the cartoons this morning.
There's a final one, because all cartoonists have gone with a similar theme for today, the Mount Kenya politics. On page 10 of People Daily, Stano's Take has this gentleman, well, because we understand Stano's cartoons, this is definitely Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. So people say you're walking a tightrope, but then he's riding a tightrope, and his wheel is a shilling, and he's balancing a ballot box. There's a notepad that says 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling problem.
One problem.
Yes.
They've added one problem. Interesting.
But Stano's take on the same.
It remains the biggest discussion, what's happening with the local politics, especially with the Mount Kenya debate. And of course, we'll be looking at this with my panelists after the break. Also, do stand by for more updates from the president's trip to the U.S., his visit to the White House, his visit to the Arlington Cemetery, and also his meeting with some of the congressional leaders. Do stand by for that and a lot more. You can be part of this conversation as well on social media. Oh yes, 22047 is our SMS number, 0793-267-279. Uni number WhatsApp, just save it and text us. There, 0795-045-864 is the number to call us live. State of the Nation coming up right now. Later on, matters some legal tips just for you. Can you change the name of your child on the birth certificate? Have you been pondering about this conversation pale kwa nyumba? Well, we'll be giving you tips on that. All right. Let's take a break now. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Kila kiongozi kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of. At what point are you a wife? The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you earn in something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata mbao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47. It's that time when we take a look at the headlines, the state of the nation, we call it. And this morning, I'm privileged to have in studio Bwana Fanya Mambo, Ben Kinuthia, a lawyer. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you at TV47.
Very good morning.
Anthony Buluma, CEO, Kenya Youth Parliamentary Association, also makes it to the panel this morning. Karibu sana.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And Titus Lote, MP Kachiliba, is also with us.
Good morning.
Quite a lot to talk about. Local politics, and we'll get to that, and also the U.S., the state visit by the President, William Ruto, to the U.S. Yesterday, he finally landed in Washington, D.C. He had a meeting with some congressional leaders. He had a trip to the Arlington Cemetery, a visit to the tomb of the unknown soldier. And we'll be getting some of these highlights as we go along. Our reporter, George Maringa, is working on that. And yes, he finally met his host. He finally met his host, Joe Biden, at the White House, interestingly. And this is one of the talking points. And if you look at the photos that are with us, especially the one on the front page of The Standard, is the fact that it is the U.S. First Lady, Jill Biden, who welcomed President William Ruto to Washington, the Joint Base Andrews in Washington, D.C. yesterday. We do have that story. Let's start with it.
Of all the foreign trips that President William Ruto has made and of all the countries he has set foot in, even he will admit that the state visit to the United States of America is quite different. More so coming from a country which last rolled out the red carpet for an African head of state nearly 2 decades ago. Come Wednesday morning, after an intense 2 days in the Southwest, Kenya's president left Atlanta, Georgia, inbound for Washington, D.C. The plane touched down a few minutes to 11 a.m. local time, much to the anticipation of their host, First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, who received them on the airport tarmac. And just like in Atlanta, when the plane door opened, hands locked with First Lady Rachel Ruto, the pair, step by step, disembarked from the aircraft, this time with their daughters in tow. Joint Base Andrews, a military facility located in Prince George's County, Maryland, provided the perfect ambience for a reception full of ceremonial state honors, including a guard of honor, as the 3-day state visit to the U.S. officially kicked off. All 3 stanzas of the Kenya national anthem were played, followed by the U.S. anthem. A state visit such as this one is the most intimate visit that the U.S. can offer to another country. Ruto is also the first African head of state to be accorded a state visit from the Biden administration, and his visit to the U.S. comes at a time when Kenya and the U.S. mark 60 years of diplomatic relations. From Joint Base Andrews, next stop for President Ruto and his delegation was the Library of Congress. Here, the head of state made two appeals to Congress. First, to renew the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, AGOA, as well as to replenish the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR.
I am very proud that 60 years on, we have built this relationship, and today we celebrate what we can do together in the face of the challenges that face us as humanity. Challenges of the wars everywhere, we all know, in Ukraine, in Middle East, in the Horn of Africa, even the one in your neighborhood in Haiti. We have serious security challenges. But all this requires collaboration, partnership, and global leadership. We also have an opportunity during my visit to discuss on the real possibilities and opportunities for trade, for investment, for conservation, and many others that are mutually beneficial to humanity, to the United States, and to Kenya.
Shortly afterwards, Ruto headed to the White House, where he was welcomed by President Joe Biden. The two participated in an economic roundtable with CEOs from both countries in the East Room.
We have a historic moment to explore investment opportunities between Kenya and the United States. And Mr. President, under your leadership, we believe that as we celebrate these 60 years of relationship between our two countries, we also celebrate the opportunities that come with the friendship that exists between our two countries. And as you have said correctly, the space around artificial intelligence, space around cybersecurity, and investments that come with it, we are expanding our footprint in the digital space.
Also at the White House, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden unveiled plans for Thursday's White House State Dinner.
So tomorrow night we mark the 60th anniversary of the United States partnership with Kenya with an elegant dinner under the stars in a pavilion made almost entirely of glass, looking up at our one sky. While outside, night surrounds us, inside, guests will be brought together over the glow of candles in a space saturated with warm pinks and reds. The night will feature special performances to honor President and First Lady Ruto's love of gospel and country music, the amazing Howard Gospel Choir, and the incredible Brad Paisley. As guests leave their path illuminated by our one moon, I hope they will be filled with the same warmth that I felt on my visits to Kenya, that of a friendship that will endure.
The state dinner in honor of President Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto will feature cuisines from both Kenya and the U.S., prepared by decorated chefs of the White House.
Thank you.
Washington is rolling out the full red carpet for the next 72 hours for President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto. George Maringa for TV 47 at Joint Base Andrews in Washington.
Yes, George Maringa doing a great job in the US, bringing to us all the latest from that trip. Bwana Fanyamambo, many Kenyans have been asking so many different questions about this trip, from the choice of mode of transport for the president, the necessity of this trip, to the fact that they don't think it was right for the First Lady of the US to welcome him to Washington, D.C. What is your main concern, and what is your assessment of this trip?
To start with, I thank you very much. I think even the Americans were amazed. They looked at a country that was not able to manage its own floods, giving poor people 10,000 shillings to manage with it for the next 3 months. and then affording 1.5 million US dollars, I mean 2.4 million shillings an hour to fly their president to the United States. And they are wondering, what is wrong with Kenyans? What is wrong with Africans? In fact, no other African president has done what our president did. And it's unthinkable and it's unacceptable, and we shouldn't accept it. We shouldn't sit here and look for nice words to justify. And the government spokesman should withdraw what he told Kenyans, because it is very, 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 very insensitive.
On the issue of transportation?
On the issue of transportation, I mean, 200 million. The families that were promised 10,000 shillings in Mathare are still waiting. So 200 million would have done 20,000 families, that 10,000 shillings. Then we are flying one person to the United States. I think we failed from the inception. The choice of mode of transport was wrong. I mean, we have a Kenya Airways flight that goes to the US, and it's a new it's a new aircraft. Many presidents are using their national carriers. Why are we a country that is struggling to feed even its own? We now don't even have money for school feeding for children. And we are feeding one person with 1.5 million US dollars in the next 3 days. It's unthinkable, it's unacceptable, it is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, from whichever angle you look at it, there is no justification for it. And I don't mince words. It is wrong, it is unacceptable, it is unthinkable, it is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bwana Buluma, those may argue that probably the dividends or the value that the president is going to get from that visit is going to be more than probably what has been spent on the trip. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think to start with, let me just qualify why I would make comments around this, because I have a background in international relations, and I don't know what Fanyamambo has done, but I can tell you, in international relations, the optics play a bigger role than even the verbal. Optics in terms of how you appear, you want to showcase the strength of your country. And that projection starts with the president. I don't think I will agree with any Kenyan who tries to downplay this state visit by President Ruto. There are places where at some point we can say, let's agree to disagree. When our flag is raised high in the international stage, let us clap, let us celebrate, let us be patriotic. I mean, reducing this to just an issue of the jet and the cost of the jet, not looking at the implications in terms of opportunities that we are going to harvest. As we speak, there are Americans who are already reaching out to Kenya saying, what are some of the opportunities available we invest? This visit has been given the kind of publicity that you require as a country to begin to embrace the level of investments that we are looking for. So I feel like this is the time for us to actually be patriotic. You can actually see the government went out of its way to ensure that even the entourage accompanying the president is a balanced entourage. I can tell you, I work with parliamentarians. I have hosted delegations traveling from Europe, from the US and other places. When they come here, they leave their bipartisan nature behind. Then they begin to project the strength of America. I honestly, as someone who's doing in international relations, who understand the politics of hegemonic status and how Kenya has consistently tried to project herself with pride, even across the continent of Africa, I feel like the president deserved even to have used a better airplane than the one he used.
Wow.
And not because I have anything against priorities in terms of our budget, but I'm looking at Kenya at that level. If the same status was even given to the likes of Eliud when they're going to raise the flag of Kenya, I would never shy off from championing that. So sometimes I know that we are tempted to be drawn back to a partisan nature, but I think this is something to be proud of. And please note, he's the first African head of state to be accorded a state visit to the US by the Biden administration. What does that speak to Africa? What does that speak about Kenya-US relations? And US is not your ordinary country. It is up at the top when it comes to international politics. So for them to afford him the kind of reception, the kind of image they're trying to give Kenya, that is something, if we are called upon to even contribute so that our president flies with pride, it's something that we should do without any hesitation.
Bwana Lote, the entire parliamentary leadership, at least in as far as the majority and minority side is represented there. Even Opio Wandai, the leader of minorities there. It is a very balanced entourage, as Buluma says. What is your assessment of this?
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning to Kenyans. To first of all also appreciate the fact that the president traveled with the country. And when I say the country, he traveled with everybody. He traveled with the members of the opposition. He traveled with the members of the ruling party. He also traveled with the other sectors of this country, including bloggers. I am told one of the bloggers who's been very controversial with the president, he's also traveled and is in the White House. So for me, I think the president wants to send a statement that he is traveling to the US not as the Kenya Kwanza president, but as the president of the Republic of Kenya. Two, is also to agree to the fact that the president needs to be given that kind of status in terms of how he travels. Because if he traveled on a local carrier, for example, probably was not going to be received as he was received. The kind of dividends that we expect to get from this kind of visit is huge, and we cannot trivialize it to levels of the president gave people who are affected by a flood 10,000 shillings per month for 3 months, and that he should also travel in that kind of a budget. He is, for heaven's sake, is the president of the Republic of Kenya. He is not just any other ordinary person. The kind of dividends we're going to get, for example, look at 2022. The value of AGOA exports to the US stood at 50.8 billion shillings, employing 66,000 Kenyans. It dropped in 2023 to 6 billion shillings. So that basically means we lost close to 66,000 jobs in terms of apparel. And I want to appreciate when he was in Florida, he actually went to an apparel shop that is made of Kenya. It's actually products made of Kenya. He's trying to promote apparels coming from Kenya, which can then be exported and used by the US population, which is close to 500 million people. And the purchasing power is very high. So what the statement the president is sending to the world is that he wants to promote trade, so that should we look at the 200 million that the president is using for such a state visit, a very dignified state visit, because he's the first president in Africa to be accorded a state visit by the Joe Biden administration. And the way it was received not by anybody else. It was received by the First Lady of the United States of America. And in the second day and third day, we actually saw him now in State House, in White House, not State House. What does it tell you? It tells you that we first of all need to respect our president, the way he traveled, the way he actually chose the kind of people that he's going to travel with, the face of Kenya, and finally, the kind of dividends we're going to get. If we can be able to, when he talked to the Congress, he actually requested for AGOA to be revamped. So if we can actually now have AGOA move up again from 6 billion export to probably above the 50.8 billion export that we had 2022, we could then employ more than 100,000 Kenyans, including those people that have been affected by floods, who are actually waiting for the 10,000. Probably what the president is doing is trying to create wealth for these people forever. So for me, I will not say that the president traveled expensively. In any case, I do not know. I'm told that many African presidents use their local carriers. I do not know which one, because I actually looked at the Nigerian president when he traveled recently. And even last week when we had presidents coming here, I didn't see any that is coming with their local airlines. I actually saw them, including Museveni, our neighbor, coming with a private jet. So let us not trivialize the matter, and just agree that the president has a goodwill for this country, and that the dividends we're going to get out of the US is much more.
Okay, and as the two gentlemen were speaking, I saw you, Fanyamambo, just shaking your head. Why do you disagree with all this?
You see, optics. My friend, if you're poor, you're poor. And those people who are out there know you are poor, and they know what your GDP is, and they know the living conditions of Kenyans. You know, you go to a country trying to show you are rich, and then after that you start begging, because this is what they are saying, that the benefits, basically they are going to beg. Our debt is known. Our ratio of our debt to GDP ratios are known. Why are you there trying to show the US? What optics are you showing them? Those people are here. They have their, they have the United Nations here. Their people come here. They have USAID here. They know what happens in this country. Stop painting an image of this country that we do not have. My friend, if you are poor, you are poor. Take a Kenya Airways plane, go there and say we have come in the country and we have come as we are. This thing of trying to go and impress is like me hiring a vehicle and saying that I'm going to threaten my neighbors and show them I've hired a 40,000 shillings Prado per day.
But they say if you're going to get a business deal, you should probably hire a vehicle because
but
the
you
value
see,
will actually
this is very different. These are people who know you. They know where you are coming from. They know what you are doing. They know what is happening in your country. So there's nothing you're trying to show to the international community. Even the rest of Africa that is looking at us, they know our GDP. They know how Nairobi looks like. Don't think that the Nigerians haven't visited Nairobi. Don't think that we know how this country looks like. So let us stop wearing a hat that doesn't belong to us. And then they are saying that it's an honor for a Kenyan president to be accorded a US state visit. That's the first point that the white man has colonized us with. That if I bring you to my White House and honor you, you're supposed to feel honored. Why? What is so special about your White House? By the way, let me tell you, we are talking of exporting apparel to the tune of what you were saying about 55 billion shillings to the United States. And then we import 183,000 tons of mutumba into this country. So we sell our first-class clothes to them in the name of AGOA, and then we get the clothes. You remember that time when somebody from Azimio said that we are getting clothes of what they said were dead people? I won't say clothes from the dead people. But we cannot be the kind of nation that exports our best of clothes to those other people. And then we are importing 183,000